and welcome to the Tudor Tours. My name is Phil and today I have brought you to a very cold Dudley Castle in the West Midlands. With almost 1,000 years of history, this castle has seen sieges, death, murder, but during the reign of Edward VI, this would have been one of England's finest houses. The first castle here at Dudley was a Norman Motte and Bailey castle built in 1070. But by the late 1200s, they refortified the castle in stone. But today, I've brought you to show you this Tudor palace built by John Dudley. During the first part of the Tudor period, Dudley Castle was owned by John Sutton VII. When he fell on hard times, he asked his cousin John Dudley, the Earl of Warwick, for money. When he failed to make the repayments, John Dudley took the castle for himself.
The Earl of Warwick later became the first Duke of Northumberland, and when Edward Seymour, the Lord Protector, was ousted from power, Dudley became Lord President of the Council and effectively was regent to the young King Edward. He was now the most powerful man in England.
In 1537, John Dudley began an ambitious building programme here of the castle. It was to be one of the finest houses in England, and he would have enlisted his friend Sir William Sherrington as architect.
William Sherrington was one of the most sought-after designers of the day. Although quite plain in his appearance, he spent lavishly on buildings. However, he was a bit of a rogue. As the treasurer for the Bristol Mint, it was easy for him to embezzle money. The Sheraton Range, as it's now called, and the whole castle would have been whitewashed and would have been an impressive sight even for the most wealthiest of guests.
When you arrived at the Sheraton Range, you'd been met by a grand staircase going into a fine portico. You'd make your way through there into the Great Hall, and up above you'd have the fine luxurious bedchambers. The medieval solar and chapel were not remodelled due to the fact that William Sherrington died on the 16th of July 1553. A month later, John Dudley lost his head with his involvement of putting Lady Jane Grey on the throne. Behind me we have the domestic range. Here we have the buttery, the kitchen, the pantry and the servants' kitchen. But up above you'd have had some fine family bedrooms. It is in this room that we believe Elizabeth I would have stayed during her visit in 1575. A decade later, Dudley Castle was surveyed as a potential prison for Mary Queen of Scots. However, by that point, the castle was already in a state of disrepair. So she was moved to Chartley and then on to Fotheringay Castle, where she would be executed. Today you'll see 95% of Dudley Castle is a ruin, and that's because in 1750 a fire broke out for 3 days and 3 nights. The fire was raging so bad it could be seen 8 miles away in Birmingham. For me, the most iconic thing about Dudley Castle is this 14th century keep. So let's go and take a look. Tell you what, this takes some walking up these stairs. It doesn't help I've got bad knees either, does it really? It's a good workout for your legs though. Nearly there. From up here you get a true understanding of how high Dudley Castle is. It's easy to see how it withstood 3 sieges. From here you can see 30 miles around in each direction. Behind me you have Birmingham. To the side of me down here you can see the town of Dudley. Over to my right hand side you can see Wolverhampton. But far over there in the distance you can see the Malvern Hills. No castle is complete without a good old ghost story, and it's no different here at Dudley. Now I know there is a ghost of the Grey Lady, so I've been joined by castle historian Amy to tell me a little bit about it. So hello Amy.
Hello.
So the Grey Lady, as you know, I've spent many times here ghost hunting before. Who is the Grey Lady and what is she doing?
The Grey Lady is the ghost of Dorothy Beaumont. She was here during the English Civil War, married to the second in command of the forces that were stationed here. Unfortunately, on the 23rd of September 1645, she gave birth to a daughter who died a few hours after birth. Body was buried in the Tower. A few weeks later, they got wind that the parliamentarian forces were going to take the Tower. So anywhere where you could garrison soldiers, they knocked it down. Unfortunately, when they did that, they knocked the church where the baby was buried down and the grave was destroyed. As you can imagine, Dorothy was grief-stricken anyway, the death of her daughter. This caused more problems for her, and she came to believe that the baby was still alive, but it was being hidden away from her. So she started to search the castle. Now, obviously, the castle was in a siege state by that time. She got ill, and by the following April, she was on her deathbed, and she passed away on the 26th of April, 1646. Her dying wish was to be reunited with her daughter. Now, because of the grave being destroyed, that couldn't happen, and she was actually buried at the furthest point away from the castle. Now, it is believed that because she never got that dying wish, she was never reunited with her daughter, that she's back here, she's still walking around, she's still looking for her daughter. She's our most seen ghost. She's seen more than any of the other ghosts that we are alleged haunted by.
Okay. So there you have it, that was Dudley Castle. Now I hope you've enjoyed this video. One thing I didn't mention to you though, it's also a zoo.